Hey everybody, welcome to the MMA podcast. I'm Karyn Bryant.
What's up, everyone? Alan Jouban here. I apologize for my voice. I'm going through a late growth spurt, a little second puberty later in life, so
Yes.
bear with me today.
And I apologize for mine. I smoke 3 packs a day, and I have all my life. So that's why it's always sounded like this, yeah.
You're a menthol smoker, right?
True. Oh yeah, of course. Man, is that a black thing, Alan? Did you just racially profile me? You totally did.
Right? You're totally like a Newport smoker, Karyn Bryant.
I'm right in the demo. Oh, totally.
Damn.
That's hilarious. How was your week?
Yeah.
I just got back from Atlanta last night. How was your week last week though? You have a good week?
Yeah. Week is good, healing up good, kind of slowly getting into training. But tell me about the football game, Karyn. I've been kind of following you on social media, but I want to hear more.
Yeah, well, it was really cool. So I went back to Atlanta. The Falcons were playing the Buccaneers, and in terms of the matchup, it was actually a pretty good matchup because both of the teams have a lot of injuries defensively, and so you knew there'd be a lot of scoring. I know that's kind of a weird thing to get excited about that. Like, both of their defenses are not great right now, and it sucks for the teams because their star players are out, and, injuries obviously happen in a team. But, sometimes you got rookies and new people trying to fill in the slack, and there's holes. You know what I mean? It's hard. It's hard for the defensive coordinator stuff. It's hard. So both of those teams don't have great defense right now. But offensively, they're pretty good. So the Buccaneers got their starting quarterback back after he'd been on a suspension, and Matt Ryan for the Falcons has been doing really well. So that was cool. Great game. It was in Atlanta. The weather was beautiful. They had the roof open. They have only had that open, they haven't had it open for a really long time. And the team, they won. So the only other team the Falcons have won the only other game they won this season was the other game that I worked, right? So it was like the game 2 against the Panthers. And so it's funny, I guess they were kind of superstitious, and I was on the sideline with them, and, I have to go on both sidelines, and I'm not really trying to pick a team here, but the people at the Falcons are very, very nice. I've gotten to know them more because when you're the home team, you go to their practices, you just spend more time with them. So I've gotten to know them a little, and the game's getting down near the end, and they're looking at me, and they're like, when are you coming back? You know what I mean? And it's funny, and you get like caught up in it, and I really... everybody knows the Patriots are my team, so that's really who I root for and stuff. But it was hard not to kind of get caught up and get excited. And you're like, oh my God, they might win again because both teams really need wins. And so they did. And it was really funny. Like, literally have like the general manager, guys, in the organization. They're like, I'm sorry, what game are you coming back for? They're like, we need you here.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be doing any more, but they're very, very cool people. I like the Falcons a lot. And it's such a fun job being on the sideline. Like, I don't even know how to it's as cool as you think it is. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's literally as cool as you think it is. And it's just so fun to be right in the middle of everything and to just really have that appreciation of the sport on the sideline. I literally, at one point, I think in the third quarter, somebody made some huge play, and I just looked at the people I'm with. I'm like, I freaking love football. It's really fun.
Yeah.
It's so fun. Yeah.
I think it's not a bad thing that the team is a little superstitious and likes having you there because they've had good energy or good wins and you've been there. The bad thing is the first time they lose when you're there, it's gonna be like not my fault.
I know.
But, it'll break the trend. Hey, did you I know you were busy with the football stuff. Did you happen to see Conor McGregor go to the Dallas game? Did you see that?
I did, and it's funny because I saw the clips of Conor at the Dallas game, and he looked like he was having a great time and all that, having a blast. And the funny thing is on the Buccaneers, Ryan Fitzpatrick is that quarterback that looks like Conor, right? And so remember a few weeks ago, because Ryan was, threw for over 400 yards a couple games in a row. He was a big thing, and he was at the press conferences, and everybody saying how much he looked like Conor. So he was out on the field before practice talking to one of the guys in the Falcons. So I went over, introduced myself and everything. I'm talking to him. And I got to be honest with you, up close, they look a lot alike. Of course, Ryan Fitzpatrick is much bigger. And so we were kind of joking about that and talking about that. And it is funny, they kind of know a little bit about Conor and stuff. But he said I think he said he was in London or Wales. He was somewhere, and somebody thought he was Conor, and he was sort of like, well, did I eat him? You know what I mean? He picked up the street. He's like, I'm giant. He's literally, obviously, a lot bigger than Conor. But they really do actually sort of look alike. So that was sort of a funny little like Conor football day yesterday. His presence was definitely felt.
Yeah, no, it shows, man. You saw he released a video on his Instagram of him kind of walking into the stadium and
Yeah.
whatnot, and he got a pretty warm reception from the Cowboys fan. A lot of people in the football world seem to recognize his face, you know. So he's an international star. You know, the football crowd knows him. A lot of the football players seem to be pretty hyped about him being there. But I wish he had a little bit of a better arm. He didn't throw the football very well.
Yeah.
It was kind of embarrassing for us fighters.
Yeah.
But I get it. You know, whatever sport's big in Ireland, probably soccer or football.
Yeah.
You know, over there. But you know, a lot of people probably don't kick the ball very well. But yeah, it sucks when you don't throw the ball very well in a football game.
Totally. Well, the funny thing is too is we did a thing one time on UFC on UFC Tonight or whatever, and Mike and Kenny had to throw footballs, and they sucked at it too. Like I think you guys, it's just a totally different skill set because they could not do it at all. Yeah, it was pretty funny actually.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Yeah, well, no. So I had a good time. I don't know if I'm gonna get more games. You know, I had 3 games initially scheduled, and I totally loved it. So it's funny. I did actually yesterday on my flight home. I was thinking about it, and I'm definitely not the kind of person that recognizes achievements of my own sometimes, you know what I mean? I'm always just like chugging forward to the next thing. But I did sit there on the plane and I was like, you know what? That's pretty cool. Like something I always wanted to do. I'd actually gotten to do it. And so I was pretty excited for myself. It was cool. Like I don't know if you're able to recognize your own achievements, but when you do take a moment to kind of like, all right, I'm going to live in this moment for a second and celebrate it. It was pretty cool.
Well, like you said, a lot of times people in general don't recognize it when you're in the moment, when you're still climbing and building and trying to obtain other goals. But like you said, you finish up your 3rd contracted game and you were flying home, and that's when you kind of sat back and took a breath and recognized it. It is a cool thing that you're doing. So hopefully at least some more games in the future. I'm sure it will.
I hope so too.
Stuff will come up.
I hope so too. But of course, while I was there in Atlanta, I was watching some fights in a hotel room again, screaming at night. I guess we should start with Chael and Fedor. I want to know your take on that fight and whether or not you think it was a work.
That was so fixed.
No.
No, I like. Don't quote me on that, fans. I don't. It would only be a few fights. Excuse me, guys. I'm sick. My voice is going out. A few fights. Probably back in the Pride days or something like that. Not even, Pride days that were fixed. But these days, I don't really see how you could fix many fights. It would be tough. Although I will say I was at the one Chael and Tito Ortiz fight, and it was a little bit funny the way he tapped out on that one. But I don't think they're fixed. I definitely don't think the Fedor and Chael fight was fixed. If you watch the fight in the opening seconds, Fedor hit Chael so hard, right in the face, right in the nose, like dead on square in the face, and dropped him right in the opening seconds of the round. And then all the ground and pound, everything he was doing, he was trying to put Chael away. He was trying to finish Chael. It was a kind of a weird stoppage, but at the same time, Chael was not responding as the ref asked him. Was he that hurt? That's arguable, but he wasn't responding, and it was either way, if they'd have stopped it then or later on, Chael would have taken more damage. I think it would have been the same result either way.
Yeah, I don't think it was fixed. I think that's kind of stupid. And I know that some people were saying, well, if it was fixed, maybe only Chael knew about it, and Fedor went out there and really fought, as expected, and Chael, took a dive, which I think is just total BS. Like you said, I mean, he got leveled, like he got rocked. Fedor is Fedor, like that's what he does, and so he. I thought that was 100% real. Everything that was happening in that fight, and I don't know why people want to say like what the compulsion is to say it's fixed and stuff like that. Is it just because Chael likes pro wrestling and like whatever? But like if you're gonna fix it, and I was at that fight too with Tito, and I don't think that was fixed either. But a submission fix makes more sense than let me go get my head knocked off for 5 minutes. You know what I mean? And to me, that just seems really silly. And maybe they just think Chael doesn't actually want to win anything and he just wants the money. Like, I guess I don't get it. And I know, maybe Fedor being in the finals is a bigger selling point for the Grand Prix, but I don't think that you risk the backlash of what could happen if it did come out that it was fake. You know what I mean? I just don't get it. I think it's silly.
Yeah, no, I don't think there's any. Uh, I don't think it was fixed. And like, I mean, Fedor's already lost. He already lost to Mitrione.
Right.
So like, if he would have lost to Chael, it's not like they had all their eggs in one basket with Fedor winning.
Yeah.
But definitely wasn't a fixed fight. I was a little surprised though. After the fight, they interviewed Ryan Bader, who will be facing Fedor in the finals, and Ryan Bader was saying that he thought that excuse me, he thought that take him down a little bit more. He thought that Chael would be able to get more takedowns on Fedor than he did. And I was shocked by that because I thought it was going to be a pretty one-sided victory for Fedor, which it kind of was. Chael kind of got like a trip takedown. He continued to chain wrestle, kind of went for a double leg to like an ankle pick type thing, and he got a takedown. But Fedor was just able to sweep him so easily, get back to his feet so easily. It seemed, even though there was only about 10-pound discretion in weight, you could tell who the natural heavyweight was. And Fedor's not even a big heavyweight. Fedor's not a big heavyweight, but he is a heavyweight, and Chael is a natural 185er who's put on weight for the fight. But you can see the difference in power and strength in there for sure.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And I also do, Chael, we knew the best path to victory, would be takedowns and stuff, but obviously easier said than done. Chael has never been some incredible striker, you know what I mean? And so that's on the feet he has potential to get lit up. It's funny though, I'm curious what your take on Fedor is though, because I actually, was fired up watching him. Like to me, it's fun to watch Fedor go crazy and go wild. But some people were saying, I'm sorry, I have like one hair that is driving me crazy today. I feel like it's out of control. But anyway, some people were criticizing, saying Fedor looks so sloppy and Fedor, he's really, not the same guy or whatever. And I don't know. I didn't necessarily see sloppy. I saw a little bit of, manic energy between the two of them. They obviously it was a very fast-paced fight, and I feel like when you fight at such a fast pace, technically you maybe won't be as sound, and at your skill set it might look a little sloppy because of just the pacing. But I didn't quite understand all the no, Fedor looks like sloppy stuff. I don't know. I didn't think so.
Well, let me say this. I wouldn't take his last performance or two and then compare it to the previous fights he's had and say he was sloppy. But if I took Fedor in general and said technique-wise, he is kind of a sloppy fighter, but that's his style. Like he throws punches in a weird angles, and his chin's up sometimes, and like he hurts his way he throws punches, and he's wild. But he's such a fast-moving, a quick heavyweight, and he gets the job done. I mean, that's always been his thing. And again, I'm saying Fedor is sloppy, not sloppy in a bad way. I just mean he has a wild style. He just goes for it. And it's he's gotten a lot more good out of it than bad. But I don't think that he looked different in this fight against Chael than he has over the other years. Yes, he's older now and whatnot, but he's always had that kind of crazy style, the way he threw punches from everywhere. So, no, I agree. I think he looked the same to me. He looks like an older Fedor, but he looks the same skill-wise.
Can I say, though, his tan was perfect. Forget the glorious sweater of absolute victory. That is the glorious tan of absolute victory. I mean, that was stunning. It was flawless, and it looked real to me. It didn't look like a spray-on action. Fedor don't do no spray-on tan. Do you know what I mean? And I was like, it's majestic. Like, he looked perfect in that tan. I was like, you just don't expect it. I know it's a complete stereotype, but you expect your Russians to be a little more pale and that kind of thing. But when he stepped out there, I was like, my man Fedor is killing it with that tan right now.
He looked like an 80s porn star, Karyn. He had the tan. He had the hairy chest. He was feeling it. He came out for weigh-in. You saw he had his little Calvin Kleins on. Man, I was like, you go, Fedor, do your thing, brother. It was funny to see it, man. But all in all, I was happy with the performance. I was happy with the respect in the locker room afterward that we saw from Chael and Fedor. I really liked that. That was some of the things that we're hearing about it possibly being fixed. But you know Chael, he's a character fighter. He was in character selling the fight. After the fight, he wasn't in character. He was just being like, look, I'm a fan of Fedor. I'm not really mad at him. Fedor is like looking to his coach for like something to give him. He gave it to him. It was a good moment. I feel like seeing the Chael and Fedor post-fight stuff, seeing the DC and the Black Beast fight announcements helps kind of push aside the black eye that the sport took with the skirmish that happened after Khabib and Conor. So I kind of enjoy these types of moments in fighting as well.
Yeah, I agree, and we'll get to some of those other things as well, but I want to stay on the Bellator thing for a minute. I want to know what you think of Bader versus Fedor. Like, I love that it's Bader-Fedor. Like, how could that could not have worked out any more perfectly. Like, some people were complaining about Ryan's fight with Mitrione on Friday night. I thought it was a great performance from Ryan Bader. I know a lot of people are like, oh, he's boring, he's a wet blanket. I thought it was the right thing to do. Mitrione is a giant dude. Like you mentioned, he's beaten Fedor. Like, Mitrione is dangerous. You have to neutralize Mitrione like that. I had zero issues with Ryan's fight. I think he's, we know he's a good dude. I've known, from back in the day. And I like the idea of him versus Fedor. Like, I'm kind of, like, curious how that's going to play out. I don't mind that fight for the final at all.
I agree with your breakdown on him, Karyn. Mitrione is a dangerous guy. I mean, you saw him knock out Fedor. We've seen him knock out lots of people. He's like a Fedor where he's quicker than he looks. You look at his body type, and you wouldn't think he would have that faster reflexes. But Mitrione super fast and dangerous. And when you take the other side of it, Ryan Bader, when he was able to take down Mitrione so easily, why would you change the game plan?
Why?
He's able to take him down on his first attempt pretty easily, and he did so throughout. I mean, as soon as the bell rang and they touched gloves, he was taking him down. So I wouldn't change the game plan. You take him down. Maybe it's not the most exciting fight, but the thing is, you get past this hurdle and you're uninjured. You secure the victory. You secure the victory and secure your spot in the finals. Then you can make up for it in the finals. You win the tournament.
Right.
You have a more exciting fight. You win the money. Everybody forgets about the semifinal fight. So people will get over it real quickly as long as there's some excitement versus Fedor.
Yeah, you make a good point because that fight is supposed to be in January. That's not really that far away. If he had taken some damage, it would have been bad. I mean, Fedor didn't really take too much either, so they should both be pretty healthy for that. I mean, don't get mad. It's a smart strategy. And like you said, there's a lot on the line, a lot to win. And I don't, it's funny because Bader, he's not bad at stand-up. Like, that guy can throw down as well. I just, obviously with Bader, he's going to have to be a little more cautious. I believe it was the Glover Teixeira fight. I think it was Ryan and Glover, and Ryan had Glover against the fence, and he was really putting it on him. It's just that he got countered, you know what I mean? And then Glover's so heavy-handed that he dropped him. But, Ryan's not, it's not like he can't stand up and fight as well. He just got to, obviously be careful defensively against Fedor being so heavy-handed. But I think it's winnable for Ryan. I don't think it's like oh no, he can't beat Fedor.
Yeah, no, I expect Fedor versus Bader to be a much more exciting fight because I don't see Bader being able to shake down Fedor as easily. I think he will take Fedor down. But Fedor, as he showed in the other fight, he's got great hips, he's got great counters, he's got great scramble ability where he can hop to his feet or throw you to the side or sweep you. So I think he's going to force Bader to have to throw hands with him. And we're going to see a lot more punches into shots. If Bader is able to take down Fedor and he takes him down for 5 rounds and secures the victory that way, nobody's going to be saying at the end of the day, oh, he took everybody down.
Right.
They're going to say Bader won the heavyweight Grand Prix or whatever they're calling it. He's going to say Bader won that damn thing, just like DC did back in the day. So either way, man, you got to do what you got to do to get the victory. But it was such a one-sided way to victory against Mitrione. That's why he chose that path. It's not as easy and clear-cut against Fedor, that's for sure.
Nope. And I have to say, Cheick Kongo won his fight too, and he's not even in the heavyweight tournament. He's a real heavyweight. He's won 11 heavyweight fights in Bellator. He's on a 7-fight win streak. He took on Tim Johnson, who was in the UFC before as well. Finished him in the first round pretty quickly. Cheick's like 42 years old, still doing great. So I kind of love that. I mean, I think it's, it wasn't cool that he wasn't included in the tournament, but I sort of love the like, the side eye of like winning all these fights while you're not even in the tournament and just like keep cruising along and knocking people out and getting great victories. And maybe he'll end up fighting the winner of the heavyweight tournament. I don't know, but I just, Cheick is a friend of ours. I'm always rooting for him. I'm always really happy for him. And yeah, he's got the most wins in Bellator heavyweight history, which I think is cool.
Well, I think you said an important point. I think what it does is it builds a super fight for him because the winner of the tournament has then fought with the majority of the people, and him not being included from the tournament, frown upon that. But then if he continues the win streak, he's able to then fight the winner of the tournament later on, maybe in some type of super fight. So good for him. And do you know, where does he live? Does he live in Hollywood?
Well, so sometimes he's here and sometimes he's in Texas. Kind of both. He's good friends with Gilles Marini, so a lot of time he's here in LA, and you'll see them training together. Gilles an actor, really great guy. Really, Gilles is way into jiu-jitsu and everything too. So sometimes Cheick is out here in California, and sometimes he's in Texas as well. Yeah.
Gotcha. I never see him at the gym. He came by Black House maybe one time, but I see him in Hollywood all the time, Karyn. I don't know what it is. Like I've run into Cheick numerous times at restaurants where me and Nicole were eating brunch and we're looking at Cheick sitting. We're like, "Oh, what's up, Cheick?"
Yeah.
And then we saw him the other day. We went to like Fryman Canyon. We went on a hike.
Yeah.
We crossed Cheick. He's hiking, and I'm like, why do I always run into him in Hollywood? I don't understand it. He must have a home or he's staying at somebody's house in Hollywood.
Yeah, he's a lovely guy, a really, really lovely guy. Also, at Bellator, I was impressed. Benson Henderson got a good win, I thought, really nice fight for him. And I'm trying to think, there was one other person that I thought was pretty impressive, but no.
It was either the guy that get that knee knockout was very impressive.
Right.
And he trains with He trains with whose gym? Is it in Ireland or in Canada?
Yeah. I'm sorry.
I think he either trains with Conor or GSP. I remember him saying that.
Oh, I think it was Faraz's guy. Yeah, I think it was one of Faraz's guys.
Okay, it must have been, yeah. But he looked super impressive, super nice knockout. That knee was well timed. He looked really good. I can't remember any other exciting fights on that card. Oh, the former welterweight champion fought as well and got another victory.
Yes, that's right.
The Russian.
Karaton. I mean,
Karatana got a victory.
Yes. But I have to ask you, because you brought up before the Conor and Khabib thing, and after his fight, Benson Henderson was kind of going into them, talking about how you didn't have to do that to promote a fight. And there's so much going on. And, at least at the time of this, podcast recording, they still haven't figured out what they're going to do with the guys. And then there's, Fittison asking Khabib if he wants to come to Bellator. Like, there's still a lot going on. It is interesting. Like, literally, when I was talking to Ryan Fitzpatrick and other football players, they know about the Conor Khabib thing. Like, it is interesting how much attention has come to that incident. And you and I, were talking about this last week. I don't believe Khabib should be stripped or anything like that, but it is going to be interesting to find out what kind of suspensions, what kind of penalties. And I saw some other story that Khabib said he thought the UFC helped Conor fix the bus incident. Like, it's starting to get a little bit crazy for me. I don't think the bus attack was fixed. I don't think make some sense of this for me, please, Alan.
To me, the interesting storyline that I take from all of this, Karyn, is that Khabib putting his foot down for the UFC. He's putting his foot down and saying, if you fire my brother or my friend, my cousin, I'm going to. You might as well hand me my papers. And that's interesting to see somebody stand back up to the UFC, stand up, because the history has shown that a lot of people that have stood up to the UFC, other than Conor McGregor, have got the boot. They've gotten they haven't done fared very well after. Khabib is a champion. Not only is he the champion, but he's shown that he puts butts in the seats. We saw they did 2.4 million. Sorry. The biggest. Can you imagine Khabib and Conor doubled what Jose Aldo and Conor did. That's amazing. Yeah. That was supposed to be the biggest fight ever when Jose Aldo fought Conor. The build up, the promotion, all the PR that he did traveling around the world, and Khabib doubled that pay-per-view buy. That's just tremendous to me. So I think not only Khabib being the champion, not only him beating Conor, But him now knowing as well that he is a big draw,
For
I
sure.
think that's where a lot of this power and frustration of him, this resentment, barking back at the UFC comes from. And look, I think he's allowed to do it. He is a champion. He puts butts in his seats. He's going to make the company money, and he wants to defend his brothers. So I applaud him for doing it. I don't know which the outcome's going to be, but I applaud him for doing it.
Well, yeah, it was that he, it is an interesting thing that he doesn't really need the UFC money, right? I'm really seriously trying to not get involved in Russian and Dagestani politics or whatever, but we did see Khabib with Putin, pictures with Putin. We saw him with the Chechen leader afterwards as well. And, there is this floating around out there, the idea that Khabib, could make money other ways, or, what I mean, doesn't have to be in the UFC to be paid. That's a pretty ballsy thing to tell the UFC to keep their $2 million and peace out instead. Like, Khabib's a gangster. That's the whole thing why he's always been such an interesting fighter, right? I mean, he hasn't really shown a lot of emotion. Like, we love that his whole, like, sometimes when he's like, that is number one bullshit. Like, he's such a, like, he really is who he says he is, and that's what's so cool about him. He's not full of crap. Like, what he says, he means. And there's something really honorable, obviously, about somebody who just stands up for what he believes in and is follows it through no matter what the consequence is. I just would be sad to see him go. You know what I mean? I would be bummed if we didn't have him as an opponent. Like, if we never actually got Tony versus Khabib because Khabib was going, like, I don't want him to go. You know what I mean? So I want them to work it out. I hope they call, the commission and everything figures everything out, because Khabib is too good and too, now, he really is a superstar. He already was a star. Now we know he's a legit superstar. I don't want to see him go.
Yeah. It would be a damn shame. It would be a tremendous loss, because he was already recognizably, arguably, the best lightweight in the world because of his record. He's never been beaten. Now he's beaten Conor. Now he's also a pay-per-view draw. Yeah. He has everything backing him now. Not to mention, like you said, he's got the president. He's got Putin by his side. Yeah. He's got power. He's got guys like 50 Cent reaching out from Bellator offering money. So it just, all of this kind of just gives him more leverage against the UFC to say, look, if you want to have me, you need to play by my rules too, or you need to give me some leeway here. So we're going to see how this thing plays out. It's an interesting storyline to me, but you look, money kind of rules all in business, and especially in the UFC these days. And he's making the UFC money. They might have to side on his side this time.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Another thing you brought up, though, earlier in the show was DC versus Black Beast. And we know there's been some fight announcements. They put DC and the Black Beast in New York as the main event. It's no longer going to be Sajara versus Shevchenko. Shevchenko is back to fighting Joanna later. Sajara, I believe, is fighting Roxy. They switched that stuff around. I know people were really kind of bitching about the girls being at the top of the card. And so now, you have a different main event. It is interesting, though, because I don't think DC's hand is like perfect, but I guess he figured, the Black Beast is kind of one-dimensional, and you can win that fight as opposed to fighting some other people. A Stipe rematch, you got to be 130%, you know what I mean, to fight Stipe. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful to the Black Beast. Everybody knows we love the Black Beast, but he admitted he goes to the gym for like an hour a day. You know what I mean? He's just a lot less threatening. Of course, he has that huge punch, but he's a lot less threatening. And I could see why DC would take the risk of a short notice fight against him.
It's like they did a poll and they said, the people's choice, who do we want to see fight in the main event? Because the people were unhappy about it. And I think my dog just farted. Sorry about that, guys. My dog just farted behind me. And so they made this fight, and I agree. Like you said, DC's hands hurt, but I think Derrick hurt his hand as well. Right. And then, like, after the fight, Derrick said he doesn't deserve a title shot. Right. And everything, and then boom, the fight's made right after. I agree. DC feels like he'd be able to handle Derrick. And look, not only did Derrick hurt his hand, but man, he took a tremendous amount of damage in that fight. Yes. All 3 rounds, he was getting beat up and almost nearly finished every time. And then until he came back, so he's got a lot of healing to do. So over the next month or so, I expect him just to be like doing like, he better just be swimming laps because he can't really take any sparring leading up to this fight. He's already beat up.
Yeah, I know, I agree. But what happened to your boy Dustin Poirier? Dude, I was so looking forward to watching him and Nate fight. Like what, and the fact that when they first announced that fight and then Nate was like, I'm not fighting on that card, and then Dustin said, I'm not either, and now then he actually got injured and he's not fighting. Like, I was like, come on, man. Like, I really wanted to see that fight.
It makes the UFC look very smart, actually, because they were lobbying to be the main event, obviously, Dustin and Diaz.
Yeah.
The UFC felt that they needed a belt. They needed a
Right.
belt or a heavyweight or a bigger name. And Diaz and Poirier kind of took offense to that.
Right.
But they gave DC the slot. And you know what it leads me to believe as well? It leads me to believe that Dustin probably got hurt a couple of days before that or a week before that. Let the UFC know, look, it's not looking good. They said we need to have another main event now, especially if you guys are hurt. Because it was like DC got announced, and the next day Poirier announced that he was injured. So I believe that the UFC probably knew something was up a couple of days in advance. But such a shame. I mean, that's really. I don't care who you put on that card, championship belt or what. That was that one fight on the card that everybody wanted to see. Just a real throwdown, a real scrap of a fight. So hopefully that gets made again. Hopefully there's nothing too wrong with Dustin. I don't know what his injury is. I'm assuming it's a knee, but that's just an assumption of mine. So I don't know.
Hope he heals up. I hope he heals up.
I know. What can you say? I know it sucks.
It sucks. All right, well, we don't have fights this weekend either, and we don't have UFC tonight because there's baseball and stuff, but we have some stuff coming up, so yeah, it's cool. But you're healing up? You're saying you're feeling better?
I am healing up. Tomorrow marks 6 weeks since I had my procedure done, and I saw the doctor today. He cleared me to start hitting pads again. So
nice.
For me, that's a big leap. Yeah, that's a great thing because I've been shadow boxing for a couple weeks now, but I didn't want to do any impact. And I'm cleared to hit pads, so I am going to the gym tonight, Karyn.
Nice. I love it. I love it. All right. Well, on social media, I am at Karyn Bryant on Twitter and on YouTube, KB Heat on Instagram. MMA Heat is across all the platforms as well. Where can they find you?
Yep, and I'm at Alan Jouban across everything, and check out my YouTube channel as well, guys.
Cool. All right, Alan. Well, I will see you later. Hopefully, Bodo, he doesn't keep farting.
Yeah, I know. I hope not either.
Maybe you should take the dog out.
Thanks for tuning in. Who let the dog out? I did. Later,
see you later.